Hi, my name's Maria and welcome to my channel MH Books, and today I'm going to be talking about The Memory Police by Yoko Ogawa from my couch. So we could call it a review, but it's really just a Maria discussion on it. I finished the book last night, would have reviewed it last night if I could do good reviews, and if I was feeling a little bit under the weather. Feeling a bit better today, but let's hope we get better, even better again tomorrow. Yoko Ogawa, I was reading for Women Translation Month. It's translated by Synder. I think this is definitely the third. It might be the fourth book of Yoko Ogawa's I've read. I've read Revenge and the Housekeeper and the Professor as well. What I find that's in common with all three is that the sentences are quite short, but together in paragraphs they're beautiful, lyrical, but full of imagery, and they're quite simple. I'm just trying to find something random here. But the only thing I could see were sheets of rain obscuring everything: the trees in the yard, the fence, the telephone poles, the sky. Thick, suffocating sheets of rain. I prayed that Orr and the old man would manage to make their way through. It had been a long time since I'd prayed for anything. And that's the one thing that's in common with at least the 3 books, if not 4 books I've read. What is not in common is the books themselves. Their subject matter tend to be quite different. I haven't read Hotel Iris. The Housekeeper and the Professor was very much about mathematics and the relationship between the son and the professor and the housekeeper, and about being a single mother. The Revenge is an evil revenge tale that tends towards the horrific. This is a piece of speculative fiction, probably in the dystopian sci-fi categories, but strongly within the speculative bit of speculative fiction. It imagines a world where there's an island, and on this island there are people who are... No, things are disappearing. Everything can disappear. It could be something simple like shoelaces, something a bit more complex like a whole phylum of animals. On one stage, birds disappear, and it has knock-on effects. There are the world itself, because things are disappearing, gets trapped in seasons. It finds harvesting food difficult. The food itself might disappear, that type of food, or it might be the piece of equipment needed to harvest the food, or it might be the time of year has disappeared that is needed to harvest or to ripen, would pollinate the food or something like that. So you have a world where there's a shortage of everything, but the people are extremely accepting, and this is where it gets very strange and very speculative. The people accept these disappearances. There are a few individuals who remember the world as it was, and they, like the reader, are lost. It's, you're completely lost as to why would you forget in this manner. When something disappears from the world, everybody gets around and they destroy what's left of it. So if it's shoelaces, they will go and burn all the shoelaces, or if it's a particular flower, they throw all the flowers into the lake. And they do this almost deliberately, and then they turn around, and even though sometimes these things had meaning to them, if it's their pets, or say, they will, get rid of their pets, and then, crying, and then turn around and quite happily accept a loss, and they don't seem to know they've lost it. They're almost willing accomplices, and they don't understand, even though there's people who exist in this world who still remember everything and are trying to get them in a way to remember, except this is an extremely dangerous thing to do because, as the title says, there's memory police and you will be disappeared by the memory police. So in a way, this is kind of almost reminiscent of Nazi Germany or something like that, and that people are being disappeared for who they are, because people who remember things just remember things. It's not something they do deliberately, they just remember things, and they're being disappeared. There's massive shortages, and because this is on an island and nobody can leave, because one of the things that disappeared were the boats. So nobody can leave and everybody's trapped. So it did remind me an awful lot of Nazi Germany. But mostly I felt lost. I felt like one of the characters who could remember, completely lost as to why or how people can accept this. And within this narrative, the main protagonist, which is pictured at the front of the book, she is one of the people who forget, but she's also a novelist, and she's writing a novel, and the novel itself almost has the opposite of what's happening in this world. So she is thinking about what's happening in this world, even though she's accepting what's happening in this world. And the two things, her novel and this novel, have almost the opposite endings. And the story within the story, and the story itself is driving me mad. And it's left me lost at sea, which is, I assume, its intention. Its intention is to be as disconcerting as it would be for one of the people who remember. So, I mean, I'm completely with all the characters who remember the world before things disappeared in this book. So I think it achieved its aim, if that's indeed was what its aim was. I do recommend it if something like that won't drive you crazy, because that's what it does. It just leaves you lost. With no anchor, because things have disappeared. There's no anchor. There's nothing to anchor you to her world as things go away. It's quite a ride. I do recommend it. And it was 5 out of 5 stars for me. So thank you for watching. And until the next time, I hope you enjoy whatever you're reading, whether it's from Women in Translation or anything else. And bye now.